Hi there. Um, this week we're going to start creating models a different way. We're going to start with a 2D sketch and then either extrude it or use press pull to create a 3D figure. There are a lot of little details that will make this less frustrating. So I highly encourage you to watch this at least once, paying particular attention to the details. So first of all, in order to start with a flat object, you have to create a sketch. You can do so from the Create menu, but there's a shortcut icon right here. So this says Create Sketch. So one of the things I want to point out, well, let me pick my plane. I'm going to draw on the floor like I usually do. Okay, so this is where the details I want you to pay attention to start. First of all, the whole ribbon changed, and so it's showing us all these sketch tools. It also has a Finish Sketch button. Now, you need to press that when needed, but it's important that you don't press it accidentally. And I'll get to that a little more later. You can also see it created a Sketches folder, and we're currently working on Sketch 1. It is pretty easy to accidentally make a lot of sketches, and if items are in different sketch documents here, they can't be connected together. So that all goes back to not clicking Finish Sketch unless you mean to. So right now I'm in a sketch where I can draw a flat shape. You can see there's a line tool, a rectangle, a circle all ready for me to use. And there are more tools under here. We'll be looking at polygon today, line, rectangle, and circle. I don't think we'll be looking at arc today, but I may end up doing that. If you feel like you don't have enough space, you can collapse this sketch palette. So I don't think I'll be referring to that, so I'm going to close it. Let's start with a rectangle because that's pretty easy. If you expand the menu, there's 3 ways to do a rectangle. I typically use 2-point rectangle, so clicking up here is just fine for me. And just like I suggested with primitives, click the first point, and then you move your mouse to the other point you want to make, and you can click again, and you have a rectangle. These indicators right here are just showing constraints, which I may show you in another video. So that is a completed rectangle. You can hit enter for it to take place. Actually, I don't think we needed to click enter, but when I did click enter, I'm not in the rectangle tool anymore. If I hadn't hit enter, it stays in the rectangle tool. So if you want to draw more rectangles, you can. So once you're done with creating rectangles, you can either hit OK. Hitting enter actually is probably the easiest thing. The default circle type is a center diameter circle. And so if I click here and pull out, it's giving me a rectangle, and you can see that it's letting me choose the radius, or sorry, the diameter. So you can type that in if you want to get a nice clean number and hit OK. And again, oh, we're not still in the circle tool. Okay, so there's 4 shapes. If you decide you don't want one, once you're back in the select tool, you can select one of the sketches you've already made or one of the shapes you've already made and hit the delete key, and it will go away. I think you can just click on it like that and hit delete also. No, that didn't work. So just select around it and hit delete. And so now I'm back to only having 2 shapes. Let's look at the line tool first. Okay, so click to start a line, and you can see it goes in any direction. So you can go up like this if you want. After you click another point, it acts as though you want to keep continuing, which is fine. I'm going to go this way. If you only wanted the line, you can click this green check mark and it will stop the line. But let's say you want to make a closed shape. So I'm going to make the shape of a house. So if you want to make a closed shape, it Whoops, I went too far. That's okay. When you get back to your original line, the line tool stops and you get a closed shape because the line tool is actually expecting that you're making a closed shape. If you're doing something else, you can click that green check mark. For example, and I'm still in the line tool. So let's say I want to even this up and I click there. That makes a little more sense for what I was going to do, which now means I want to get rid of these two lines, and that's what we use the trim tool for. So if you make lines you don't mean to, you can trim away the other lines. So let's do that again. Let's make, I don't know, what else should we make? Let's make, and if you accidentally hit that, you're fine. You're still in the line tool. Oh, maybe you're not. If you're not still in the line tool, just go back to the line tool and pick up where you left off. Actually, I'm going to make a C. There. And so again, you can tell it's a closed path because it fills in blue. So that's the line tool. If you decide that you want to make, like, let's say I want to make a chimney here, I can go ahead, that green dot's actually in my way. So I got to click the green dot and then add another line. And then if you don't want this intersecting line, again, that's what the trim tool is for. So there's a cute little house, and you'll see what happens more with that in a moment. Let me show you one more tool, and then I'm going to show you how to turn them into 3D. So if I go to create polygon, there's 3 different ones. I want you to choose edge polygon. Edge polygon makes a regular polygon, which means all of the sides are going to be the same length, and therefore all of the angles will be the same measure. And so after you choose edge polygon, the thing you do next is define how long you want the edge. So I'm going to say that my edge, let me zoom in a little bit, is going to go from here. I don't think I got it exact because I actually want this to be 0 there. Okay, so once you get one edge done and you move your mouse off of it, it assumes you want 6 sides. You can see it's indicating 6 right here. If you really want an octagon, you can type in 8 and it makes that 8-sided figure. I'm not going to make 8 yet because it will intersect my circle. I'm actually going to go down to 3 and make a triangle. And then I'm going to hit enter and I have a triangle. Let me go somewhere where I won't be in the way of anything else. And I accidentally, okay. So let me go up here, create polygon, edge polygon. So again, you have to define the size of your edge first. And then after you move your mouse, it defaults to 6, but you can type in as many sides as you want. Now don't go crazy with this. If you put in 100 or 1,000, it will try to work. And if your computer hasn't been restarted or if you have too much stuff open, your computer's going to freeze up. So it's definitely good to experiment. You just want to be careful about not pushing the limits. So I click OK, and now I have, I believe that's called a dodecagon. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shapes here. I'm going to finish my sketch. And so basically what happens is you can see all the sketches I made on the floor. You can see my sketch window is visible, or my sketch document is visible. But you can also see that you're back to the default workspace, which is the solid workspace. Okay, and one of the tools here is called extrude. And extrude is so that you can take a 2-dimensional object, which is the ones we have on the floor, and make it into a 3-dimensional object. So when you click that, if you have something highlighted and you click it, it's going to extrude the thing you have highlighted. I prefer to have nothing highlighted. Click my extrude tool. Let's go with the basic rectangle. And then you see an arrow to pull up, and you're used to that. And so now I'm getting a three-dimensional figure. There's stuff to look at here. I wouldn't worry about that yet. And when I click OK, it's a little bit unsettling. But a couple things happened. One, you now have a body. So that sketch you started with turned into a body. So you can call that tall rectangle. You don't have to name yours if you don't want to. But the reason it looked like my shapes disappeared is because it made your sketch layer invisible. So it turns off the eye. I'm not sure why it does that. So if you're half paying attention, pay attention now. After you click to extrude a body, it hides your sketch layer. Easy to turn back on, you just click it. So then let me orbit a little bit. So if you want to make your circle a cylinder, you click the extrude tool, pull it up, click OK. And the second time around, it doesn't hide it, which is really nice. Suppose, I want to look at this from a different corner. Yeah, that's good. Suppose you made a mistake and you want to edit that extrusion. Just right click and go back to edit feature. And it opens up the extrusion thing again. And something I've ignored so far is we haven't seen this dial. When we made a cylinder using primitives, this dial wasn't available. And this dial is related to taper angle. So this dial is cool because what it lets you do is it lets you make the top surface much smaller, which allows you to make pyramidal figures. I don't know if that's a word. Anyway, if I do that, and you can see I tapered it by negative 30 degrees, you end up with pyramid-looking shapes. I'm going to do that over here to my dodecagon. So I'm clicking that. I'm going to go, I'm going to go to extrude, select that again, raise this up, and then I can use that dial to make it look like a pyramid. If you want a true pyramid, then you would need to start with a perfect square. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add a sketch to the sketch document we already have. So I'm going to double click sketch, and that brings me back into the original sketches I just had. It looks like my 3D stuff went away, but it didn't. It's just being hidden right now while I work on my original sketches. Now, one of the things that happen if you decide to change one of these original dimensions and you finish sketch, the extruded one changes with it, which is super nice. Let me actually name these. So this is my cone, and this is my 12 side cone. I know it's not a cone. Let me write pyramid. Okay, I spelled that wrong, but we're going to forgive me. So again, if you want to go back to a sketch that already exists, double click this. Do not go to new sketch unless you need to, okay? Because that creates problems later. So I'm going to double click this sketch. I'm going to go to create. Actually, I'm going to click my 2-point rectangle. And I'm going to make a perfect square. Actually, I will do that by typing in. So let's go 150, tab 150, enter, finish sketch, extrude. When I pull it up, I'm actually just going to type in 150. So I know it's a perfect cube. And then I'm going to orbit a little bit. I'll orbit with this. Well, what I'm trying to see is getting hidden by my, yeah. Okay, there we go. There. So now that just made a mathematically perfect pyramid. So I will call this pyramid. And there, yeah. So these other two things, for now, I'm just gonna extrude them. I'm not going to use the taper angle dial, but so extrude, pull this up, click OK. And now you can see all of my sketches are still here, even this little rectangle I haven't pulled up. So I am going to name this house, and I am going to name this letter C. And actually, so these work just like bodies you've had before. You can see and I'll get back to that in a second. You can see when I have the sketch turned on, you can see the original base shape. If that bothers you, you can turn it off while you're working. When you hand it in, I'm going to want you to have that turned on. But let's say we want to rotate the C. You can still do that like we did the other primitives because it's a body. So I'm going to highlight this body. And you have to highlight first before going to move copy, because it has a lot of flat faces. And remember, if you right click and try to move copy, it does something different now. It resizes that. So I'm going to hit escape. So remember, if you want to rotate a body, select the whole body first, right click, move copy, and then I can rotate along this angle, and I want that to go at exactly 90 degrees, and then I'm just going to pull it up so I can hit enter. I'm going to do the same thing with the house. So I'm going to select the house, right click, move copy. I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees, and then pull it up, and I'm actually going to push it back so I can see it better. So I'm going to push it over here. And I think I'm going to move this too. Notice the sketches stay where they were. I'm going to move the C again. Whoops. So I'm going to select the C, right click, move copy. I'm going to push it back that way. Click OK. Yeah. And then I'm going to orbit a little bit to get it into a good position. That's probably a decent position. Because, whoa, that is not a good position, so I got to start all the way over again. You're going to make these figures. So I'm going to copy this so you can see what it should look like when you're done with the assignment. But your assignment will be to make a house, to make a letter. The C is pretty easy. Actually, I think I'm going to just tell you guys to make a C. You're going to have a pyramid with a polygonal pyramid with 12 sides. You're going to have a cone, and you're going to have a true pyramid. And I don't think I'm going to make this, well, yeah, I think you are going to have a taller box. So I'm going to stop this recording. But your project at the end of today, or whenever you finish it, is going to have all of these shapes. So remember, when you go to snippet, remember, I always want your name, but I'm also going to want to make sure your sketches folder is expanded and on, because I want to see your sketches on the floor. And I'll also want to see your bodies expanded. So I'll paste this in the assignment and answer a few more questions in class. So good luck with that, and we will see you next time. Let's see.